There is something I did want to show you guys real quick. And it was the Jordan Peterson Jubilee thing that I just think is was an absolute damn travesty. So Jordan Peterson was just on Jubilee, and it was supposed to be titled Atheist, One Christian Verse, like 40 Atheists or whatever. It didn't really go well. Like, a lot of people are saying that, I mean, first off, the only people who are saying Jordan Peterson did terribly are people on the far left. Okay. It's a funny watch. The format is, so yeah, Jubilee sucks because if you try to use any of their content, they copyright claim you. Even if you try to fight it, they don't care. Like, they don't want to let you use any of their content, even if it's fair use or not. I don't know how they get away with it, but YouTube like falls for it every time. I've done incredibly super fair used versions of their videos, and their videos have done really well, and they end up like getting copyright claimed because it's freaking Jubilee. Particular kid here that I'm about to show you came up there looking basically for a viral moment. He wasn't there for a debate. He wasn't there to try to win over Jordan Peterson with anything. This kid just went in here looking for a viral moment with Jordan Peterson, and he got it. And as per usual, the far left is eating it up, dude.
Can you be very clear about your definition of worship again?
All right, so pay attention here.
Prioritize.
Watch the kid just
sacrifice
get more and more angry as it's going.
That's your understanding of worship.
Well, I could flesh it out, but that'll do for the time we have.
Okay. Do Catholics attend to Mary?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's one of the 7 sacraments, I believe.
Do they?
I was raised
fit
Catholic.
That description of worship?
Yes.
So you would say Catholics and other people that revere Mary, like the Eastern Orthodox tradition, worship Mary.
Well, they might not put her in the...
Yeah, look at how this kid, he's like, oh my God, he's got him! He's freaking got him! Oh my God! He doesn't have him. He doesn't have him. This should be called Jordan Peterson versus a bunch of narcissists that think they are a lot smarter than they really are. To think that you are smart enough to go toe-to-toe with one of the most philosophical people in the world who has influenced millions to buy his books, you already are way in over your head just from that alone. But watch this kid. This kid thinks that he's truly like God's gift to debating or whatever the hell it is.
But you would put it that way.
No.
You just said it. Now you're taking it back.
There's still a hierarchy.
Okay, there's a hierarchy, but within
there's something at the top.
All right, you can worship things
Mary
below.
is quite a ways up the hierarchy, but not at the top.
Let's go over your definition of worship again. What's your definition of worship?
Attend to.
Attend to.
Prioritize.
Do Catholics
sacrifice for.
Do Catholics attend to? Do they prioritize Mary over all other human beings?
No, they don't. They don't. I don't know if this kid is clueless or whatnot, but being raised Catholic, it's Jesus, it's God, and then Mary, right? Like she's up there, but she's not. When he says it's a hierarchy, anybody who's been to Catholic Church knows this. It's common sense. Mary is not the end all be all. When you go into a Catholic church, you have Mary on one side, Joseph on the other, right? But then you have Jesus on the top, in the front and center. He's the star of the show. Jesus is the center of the Catholic Church, but at the end of the day, it's really God. God is the center of the Catholic Church, okay? I don't know where this kid's getting this information from. Again, I think he's just trying to trap him, as someone said in the comments. And Peterson was just asking him to slow down and have a conversation. Yeah, exactly. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about it again. By the way, Catholicism and Christianity are separate. Yes, they are. But they are very alike. They're more alike than they are different, but they are definitely separate entities. They're two different religions. So this guy bringing up Catholicism and saying, you go to a Catholic church, right? It makes no friggin' sense. But this kid thinks that he's got Jordan Peterson on the ropes, and he really doesn't.
Overall, did I? I didn't add that to my definition.
You understand.
I said there was a hierarchy as well.
You attend to
So you can attend to something trivially, or you can attend to it deeply.
And now you're adding stuff to the definition. But your original definition...
I added the hierarchy part at the beginning.
Are you familiar?
Just didn't understand it.
Are you familiar with the Immaculate Conception?
Why is that relevant?
Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
Sure.
All right. Are you familiar with their doctrines?
He looks like he wants to fight him.
Okay, you're familiar.
Their doctrines are very
how do they
deep.
regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
First off, okay, that's not Jordan. Everybody's acting like Jordan Peterson got caught because, Jubilee probably didn't tell him what the name of the show was going to be. Jordan Peterson probably got asked to show up and debate people, wasn't told that it was Christian verse whatever. So now all these people are like, oh, Jordan Peterson doesn't even know. He doesn't even know that it's one Christian verse 40 atheists. There was one girl, though, who did really good, and Jordan Peterson brought her back up at the end to talk about this. So I did like that part. But this is completely stupid. I don't know what the hell this kid's going on about, and I don't know why everybody was like just so excited to see Jordan Peterson get talked to at all. Gypsy says Catholicism, Christianity are different only in the secular organization of church. Yes, they are very similar. Christians do a lot of the same things that Catholics do, and well, at least EG, most people disagree or argue. Yeah, they're not the same. Catholics are not Christians. Christians are not Catholics. You go to a Catholic church and you sit down through the mass, you know exactly what's going to happen every mass, right? Because it's the same thing. It's very repetitive. It's actually kind of boring, unfortunately. But you go to a Christian church, it's actually really fun. Like the guy plays the guitar, they sing Kumbaya, they have a good time, they sing different songs. Not Catholic church. You get the priest runs the whole thing, the whole shebang.
Oh, you don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
and I mean
either you're a Christian or you're not.
I won't talk to you if you're a smartass.
Either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression I was invited to talk to a Christian. Am I not talking to a Christian?
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video.
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing. Right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
I mean, it completely... There's no reason to treat him like that. Again, I think this kid was more interested in like a clickable moment than he was interested in actual discussion on anything. He went in there thinking he was going to stun on Jordan Peterson. Anybody with common sense can see this kid just came in here to act like like he had supremacy over Jordan Peterson. He doesn't. All right. He came in completely classless. He came in with a bunch of attitude. There was nothing impressive about that to me at all. I'm sorry. I just don't, you get an opportunity to sit down with one of the brightest minds of the 21st century, and this is how you just, choose to act. I just think, it was incredibly rude. Exactly, Soul. Yeah, he's a little punk. That's not debating. No, that was not debating. That was just, listen to me, Mr. Peterson, because I know everything and you know nothing. And then I'm going to end it by saying you are nothing. Like, how do you sit there? Okay, the guy's a best-selling author, all right? He's probably going to have more money than that kid will ever have in his whole entire life. But yeah, let's go with he's nothing, okay? That makes all friggin' lot of sense. I don't support organized religion, but I never speak to anyone like that. Listen, my take on this is that religion is... I had a conversation about this the other day with somebody I was on a date on. Because she said, I think you're a little more religious than you might think you are. And I said, no, I'm honestly, I'm not, because I don't really follow a specific religion, but I do feel like I have a relationship with God that's like my own. And I don't even know if it's God. It could be the universe. It could be, the galaxy. It could be, whatever it is that is the energy that is pushing us as human beings. Whatever spark is our consciousness. I do feel like... energies attract just like magnets. And I feel like the energies in our bodies, that's why some people you vibe with, some people you just don't vibe with. Obviously, Poppy is like the complete opposite of energy that I tend to be. I tend to be more reasonable. I tend to be more, try to be a little bit more understanding, as where she just rages the fuck out. But she might be on her period, so that's possible too. It's definitely God. Yeah, well, it could be God, right? I don't know that for sure. I've never met him, right? So I'm trying to do this from a perspective of speaking on my own behalf. Daniel Screw. It could be God, right? It could be the universe. We as humans, we just simply don't know. We just simply don't know. Nobody's ever met God and then came back and told us about it, unless they were, maybe schizo or they were on a serious mushroom trip. But my relationship, I would consider myself to be spiritual, right? After everything I've gone through in my lifetime, I'm still here alive today. And I feel like there's a reason for that. Hang on. It's getting hot as hell in here. Hang on. All right. But I thought that, my relationship with God is my own relationship. It doesn't need to be classified by a religion, doesn't need to be classified by the Bible or a book. If that works for you, that's perfect. But for me personally, it's more about my existence, my own personal relationship with my higher power, whatever that higher power may be. But I feel like, you know, everybody's relationship is different, and nobody needs to be forced to kowtow to like a schmuck like this little kid who is forcing you to decide what your relationship is. I don't know why. Yeah, Nerd City. You're really something. You know what? You're really something, Nerd City. But you know, Jordan Peterson was having a civil conversation with this kid. This kid was obviously trying to get like his little fucking moment of clout online, and he got it. But you know, the only people who are like really celebrating this are people who are like far leftists. That's the only thing that I can really see this kid doing this for. Or he's just, or he's far leftist himself, watches Hassan, just hates Jordan Peterson. Actually, there's a good, speaking of Nerd City, during my interview that I did with him, we have an interesting part where we talk about Jordan Peterson and how, you know, not by any decision of his own, he was kind of forced into stepping up and being this, you know, person on the right pundit. And that wasn't his choice. He kind of got forced out of the left. The left just didn't want nothing to do with him. So, and as Nerd City says in the interview, you know, Jordan Peterson is so intelligent and so well-spoken that he is not someone you want to make an enemy of. Yet the left just sent him over and gave him to the right, wrapped in a bow, and was like, here you go, you can have him. And ever since then, he's won over millions of men from all over the world. Why? Because he knows he knows the experience and what it feels like to be a man nowadays. I got complimented by a girl earlier. I'm not going to tell you what the compliment was, but she just said something like something about my appearance. She said, "You look really nice," and I said, "Thank you." I was like, I don't hear that very often, so that's surprising for me to hear. She goes, you know, I realize that like there's a lot of men out there that never get complimented, and I find it strange. And I said, yeah, it's just kind of something I guess that we've gotten used to. It's not like, you know, because guys have been designed to court women, like they court women. So they tend to always provide the compliments, right? And the girls just take them and go, oh, well, thank you. I'm glad you noticed my hair. But if you say something to a guy, a lot of times, like, they don't realize that, you know, they don't know how to receive those compliments because we don't get them very often. Like, how often, well, maybe for Nerd City, he probably gets complimented a lot more because he's a popular guy online. But if you're like a guy, right, how often does a girl come up to you and just say, wow, you are so incredibly handsome? Maybe the older ladies, like the old ladies at church might say it to you, but it's, you know, you don't really know how to respond to it. And I see you, Victoria. Yes, men do not get complimented a lot. Girls get complimented a lot more because most of the time men are trying to woo them over. I always try to compliment my husband. Well, that's very nice, and that's a good relationship to be in. But you know, most of the time, I know that with my previous relationship, I you know, every once in a while she'd say something nice to me, but for the majority of it, I would, I bounced my hair. I was doing the lady thing. But you know, it's just everybody is different. Everybody's experiences are different. But I know the majority of men probably feel similar to I do. Like, guys go out, they don't leave their house, they don't do their makeup, right? They wake up, that's the best they're gonna look all day, you know. So it's not like we're looking for compliments, but when we get one, it's just simply like, wow, I was honestly not expecting you to say that, so thank you. That, you know, I really appreciate that. That made me think of the old flip phone joke, Jed. But yeah, okay. That was one of them. There's another clip that I want to show you guys too. This one has to do with Lily Tino, although there is a couple different. I could honestly do the whole Jordan Peterson Jubilee thing, but again, they'll copyright claim my channel because Jubilee does that. But I just wanted to specifically talk about that kid because that kind of got on my nerves. The way that kid treated Jordan Peterson. Because Jordan Peterson, if you go watch that Jubilee episode, was super nice, very civil to everybody. He said, welcome, thank you, like, sit down, it's nice to meet you, right? And then he even did it with that kid, and that kid immediately just turned into a straight douchebag, all right? The one girl who he actually invited back up was probably the only person in the whole entire back and forth, that didn't try to win a debate with him and just simply had a conversation with him. And I think that's why he brought her back up. In fact, he said it in his video that he brought her back up because, she was the only person trying to have a conversation and not win. Nerd City says, so true. JP tried to help those guys, invisible, unsuccessful, unwanted guys, not a lost cause if they clean their rooms and don't smell bad. Yeah, I mean, that's the least you could do, right? Clean your damn room, right? As one of Jordan Peterson's favorite sayings is, before you start pointing out other people's houses, make sure your house is clean first. And that's super true, right? You want to make sure that your shit's put together before you start pointing out other people's shit, or else what are you doing? Like the last person I'd want to tell me to clean my room maybe be Asmongold, right? But if he gave me tips on creating, I'd listen to him. But if he gave me tips on cleaning my room, I'd be like, hey, I don't know, Asmongold, I'm gonna take your advice, Mr. Rat Alarm Clock. But yeah, so there was and then I'm trying to see what else. I was that guy. Okay, look at this. I was that guy who made Jordan Peterson look silly. Here's my background. See, look, this is exactly what I mean. This freaking kid is doing this for clout. All right, let's find out who this little weasel is. 100% clickable moment for this kid. That's all he cared about, was getting a clickable moment. And now look, let me tell you all about myself. So this is the kid Danny.
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing. Right, you're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
Yeah, that was me. I want to give some background. First of all, before the production, people all got emails, invitations, where the production title was One Christian versus 20 or 25 Atheists. Everyone got that email, at least on the atheist side. Of course, I don't know what personal emails they sent to Jordan Peterson, but before production, they announced, once again, the production title as being One Christian versus 20 Atheists. Jordan Peterson...
I honestly don't care what the title of the video was. That doesn't excuse the language that this guy uses. It doesn't excuse his behavior during this. Like, I don't care if it was, one jackass versus like 40 smartasses or whatever, If the guy doesn't know he's in there, if you can't be sure that the guy knows he's the jackass, then you can't sit there and be like, you're a jackass. I never said that. Yeah, but it's on the title of the video. Like, I don't even know if Jubilee wanted that, because the minute that happened, Jubilee changed the name of the title, and I'm pretty sure Jordan Peterson probably told them to change the name of the title.
Actually responded and actually, I think, giggled and said, well, some people don't consider me to be a Christian. He embraced the label before the filming, right? I really think he just had something like a Joe Biden moment. He didn't really understand what it meant to say, yes, I'll be that one Christian in your video. If he was responsible, he would have declined.
Exactly, Neon.
If he doesn't
so
label
too.
himself as a Christian, like he didn't really answer my question, like whether he was a Christian or not, then he should have never entered the arena. And yeah,
the arena, like it's freaking thunder. You should be lucky you got to sit across from him. Okay, keep in mind, right? These people are literally running to this table. These people sit in a chair and they sprint to the table to try to get a chance to talk to him. So this guy sprinted to the table just to tell Jordan Peterson he was nothing. It's so freaking stupid. It's so stupid. And the fact that he's acting like he shouldn't even have been there. I don't know. What's up, name withheld? Catholics are Christians. They follow Christ. They are not Protestants. The Catholic Church considers themselves the true Christian church. Well, I know that I don't know the direct history, but I know that they're pretty much separate now. If I go to a Christian church, it's a much different experience than when I go to a Catholic church. Nerd City says, ugh, I knew the lore on this. He's partly right. So if he is right in that Jordan Peterson acknowledged that he was a Christian and he was the Christian guy, should he have, backed out of it? Probably not. But without definitive proof that Jordan Peterson knew that this show was going to be called Christians versus thing, and then he was coming to represent Christians, he could have thought, because a lot of the interviewing and the debating, from what I heard on Jordan Peterson's side, is that he thought that he was explaining Christianity's effect on Western civilization. JP has long, overcomplicated explanations why he won't care himself Christian. Yes, I will admit, Jordan Peterson needs to kind of dumb down his talking a little bit because he does tend to use, extravagant words. And most people don't talk like that. I know he's like a very high functioning person. But if you want to try to relate to these people, you need to do it. Anyway, let's keep seeing what this kid has to say.
Worship thing. All I was trying to show there is that if you play with words, you're going to say stuff like Catholics worship the saints and Mary and their Pope, right? Which they don't want to, they're not inclined to say that. Maybe there's a technical sense in which they worship them. That's not the point. That's not where he got owned. He got owned for accepting to be the one Christian and then saying in the production, yeah, I'm not telling you that I'm a Christian. And for those that don't know, Jubilee changed the title after public release. They got the backlash. Why did you invite Jordan Peterson to do the whole one Christian versus 20 atheists? He's barely a Christian, if not even. So I understand why Jubilee changed the title, although that makes my point, kind of diminishes my point. But everybody, I think the top comment is that, yeah, they changed the title of the video. But at the same time, it's hard to blame Jubilee completely. I mean, maybe they made a mistake. I wouldn't say that. If you look at Jordan Peterson...
I can understand. I mean, the kid's, he seems a lot more mellow here. He comes off a little bit more likable here, but this doesn't excuse the fact why he had to tell Jordan Peterson he's nothing. So I'm interested in wondering why he felt the need to call that. So let me see what this is.
I wouldn't say that. If you look at Jordan Peterson's content very closely, especially the last couple months, he's been saying stuff like, yeah, there's a sense in which Christianity is true, or yes, Jesus rose from the dead. In fact, if you take a video camera 2,000 years ago outside of his tomb, yeah, maybe a...
I want to be clear, is what is the God you believe in?
I think that the claim that Christ is the embodiment of the prophet and the laws, I think that's true.
I'm trying to lock in. I'm trying.
So, that's complicated. It's very, very complicated. But I think it's true.
So you believe that Jesus was...
God?
God.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the guy that was interviewing him, right? He had asked multiple times. He was trying to get clarification, and he was so sweet about doing it. I just wasn't sweet about it. I'm tired of the BS, right? Like, I'm tired of the, am I a Christian? What does it mean? What does it all mean? But yeah, I believe, or maybe I don't. Like, be straight with the answer. I'm just going to be assertive about it. That guy was just being nice. I'm just not.
Put it this way, if I...
Yeah, well, why couldn't you be? Why was it so hard for you not to be nice? I mean, you're getting a chance to sit down with Jordan Peterson, who was probably somebody who I'd love to pick his brain about a bunch of different shit, and you opted to just be a total douche. Were you worried at all how that would make you look?
Went back in time with a Panasonic video camera and put that camera in front of the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. Would the little LCD screen show a man walk out of that tomb?
I would suspect yes.
So that to me seems like a belief in the historical event of the resurrection, or at least of Jesus leaving the tomb, which means that when somebody says, do you believe that Jesus rose from the dead? It doesn't seem clear to me why you're not able to just say, it would seem to me yes.
And look, again, Alex...
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. I totally respect Jordan Peterson and his intelligence, but I'm treading on some pretty tricky waters here. I always kind of looked at Jesus rose as kind of like a more of a metaphorical type of rise, and not that the man actually got up and walked out of the tomb, But that's a Christian belief, so the kid's right here. If we're going to be fair about it.
Very sweet, cordial. You can tell he's frustrated. But again, civil. I'm not civil because I'm sick and tired of the BS. I think even Alex is sick and tired of the BS. He's just a nice person. I'm not. Most people are sick and tired of it. Just be straight with the answer. Stop confusing people. And no, I do not blame Jubilee for inviting you because you're as clear as mud and it looks like you are a Christian if you think this guy is God and he rose from the dead. So I would say Jordan Peterson is the one that's mostly at fault, right? And Jubilee is suffering because he accepted the whole gig.
I'd have to know more. Again, if I don't have clear proof without looking at Jordan Peterson's emails, I can't for sure break that down. So, that it is what it is, and I still think that doesn't give the kid the right to straight up, be a douche about it. But, he couple decent points. I still don't think that the kid needed to be a total dick about it. I'm kind of interested in what these comments say. So, he's trying to advertise his TikTok here. No, you were an idiot. No, you were an idiot who didn't even wait for him to complete his answer before you start wiggling the next thing you already had in your mind to say. Anyway, most of the kids there were laughing during the debate, which, okay, for the age you are, but it's extremely disrespectful against a man who saved thousands of people psychologically. You were prepared for that. I don't know, maybe for months. You prepared your side well against someone who came in without knowing your script. It's sad to see that you and your audience think you won something here. I'm with this guy. I don't think that they flexed on Jordan Peterson the way they think they did. If anything, Jordan Peterson's simply guilty of being a bit too wordy with his explanations. You can't comprehend Peterson's mind at all. One day, though, you will, and you will be so sad with the reality check you are going to experience. And Danny wrote, I don't think that Peterson comprehends his own mind. Gerald A says, you didn't make him look silly. You were just trolling and not... So Gerald A is from the Steven Crowder show. You didn't make him look silly. You were just trolling and not interested in a conversation. Interesting that you didn't include context for your comments either. Wonder why that is. And then Danny says, what needs to be contextualized further? I don't know if Gerald A replied here. Gerald A did. The person's questions prior to yours provide some context of the definition of a Christian and Jordan's hesitance to say that about himself, his words. You spoke with him for 2 minutes and 21 seconds. By the time you got to your moment, you had already been a bit of a troll. Yes, he absolutely was a troll. I never asked for a definition of Christian. I just asked if he was one. He refused to answer for good reason at all. How is this hard for you to understand? Gerald A says, right, I'm saying it was a continuation for Jordan of the previous conversation. Which it was, because this guy got voted out. Like, they had this thing, like, if you didn't like the guy talking, which they always voted the person out, regardless of how good they were at the conversation, because everybody just wanted a chance to be on camera. They wanted their 5 seconds of fame. This kid just ended up really just milking it for all it was worth, and he came off like a complete tool for it. Gerald A says, right, so that's what he means by the continuation. Be honest, you were trying to see if you could trap him on Mary and Catholicism. He was being evasive. Not a great look for him, but not the career ender people are calling it. Not surprised that you think running away from debates isn't incredibly embarrassing, considering that your boss avoids Sam Cedar. Like, that's stupid, because he debated Sam Cedar and made Sam Cedar look like a complete moron. And I don't even really mess with Crowder anymore. I think he's a little too right for me. You did all that, and you don't even have a blue check mark. I don't even know what it does. Atheist stole the Jesus story as a metaphor similar to the philosopher in the cave in Plato's Republic. Yeah, that's what I think, personally. I think it's more like a metaphor for him rising. Bro thinks he cooked and now he's realizing he didn't. How much y'all want to bet this loser hasn't even touched a girl in his whole life? I don't know. I'll leave it out to chat to figure out. I personally don't see this guy fucking. This guy don't fuck. I'll tell you that much. He fucks himself, probably, a lot. Jordan Peterson is an ass. He's certainly his own worst enemy. He's not clear in his messaging. I don't know if he's an ass, but some could argue he might not be very clear. Crowder the abuse. Like, I don't even want to touch that. Okay? I'm not getting into Steven Crowder tonight. I used to be a fan of his, but I think that he kind of got a little... I didn't really like a lot of the racist rhetoric that he was saying. Because, believe it or not, regardless of what people in my comments of my Ironheart video are saying, I am not racist. And I don't like racists. I really honestly don't. I think that everybody deserves a right to live a life and not be judged by how they look. You're also wrong about God. You're an atheist worldwide, is deeply flawed, and Catholics do not worship many or the Pope. Glad you smacked down JP's grift, though. You're an arrogant little prick and a retard. You're an arrogant little prick and a retard as well. As one of as one has to be quasi-retarded to believe that nothing created everything, and then typed out a super sophisticated 4-digit genetic code made of amino acids. I have no idea what that guy's talking about. I'm no fan of Peterson, but you came across as an arrogant little prick. Based, I think that's about right too. It's about right too. I heard EG don't. Yo, you watch your mouth, Sarah. I totally fuck. All right. And if you guys remind me at the end of the stream, I'll give you guys an update on my dating life. I know you guys are on the edge of your seats. You didn't make JP look silly. You misunderstood what was happening. You came with the intention of being a smartass, and you accomplished being a smartass. You proved that you do not belong in the conversation with the smug attitude you put out. Yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate. I think that's pretty accurate. Whether the kid had any kind of points or not got washed away by the second he started acting like a douche. You made yourself look like a retard with feminine energy. Stop. Don't listen to the naysayers. Now we are doing Twitter verses, aren't we? You don't listen to the naysayers. You destroyed him. Enjoy the W. God, I'll tell you what. The left is coming back. The far left is coming back on X in force. They don't go after big creators though. Like they don't ever comment on Steven Crowder or anything like that. They only talk to small channels like me. They love jumping on my ass, but the minute somebody's got an actual audience that believes with them, they don't fuck with them. I'm spitting from that. May never be the same. I'm sorry. I don't get racism. It makes no sense. Everyone should just treat others with respect. Well, I think there's a cultural divide, Summer, that I think some people just feel uncomfortable with. Like somebody had posted, I think on X, it was a Carnival cruise, and it was made up of a majority of black people. And they said, "Would you want to go on a Carnival cruise like this?" And I wrote, "Abso-fucking-lutely, I'd love to." If you've never partied with black people, they are the funnest people to hang around. They really are. And if they're on Carnival cruises, they're probably not thugs. All right. An atheist will often claim that there are open-minded individuals that they won't submit to theory without having all the facts. When Jordan Peterson fence sits Christianity in the same way, they get frustrated by the behavior they exhibit themselves. I can understand, like, but you gotta understand too, like, the minute he says he's a Christian, he might lose half his half his audience. I admit JP was at his best, wasn't at his best, but you came off a little emotionally unstable kid and not an intellectual. Perhaps you stunned him with your immaturity and rude back-to-back fallacy bullying. Yeah, I like what Anastasia had to say here. I think she's 100% right. That I think he kind of caught him off guard more with just how much of a jerk he was.